Welcome back to another episode of Sisters Reading Romance.
This week's book is Grinder by Samantha Whiskey.
Yep, a sports romance.
Sports hockey romance.
You have to specify hockey.
Hockey.
Okay.
Because all the sports are different.
I mean,
supposedly.
yes. Actually, I found a rugby book.
I did find one too. It was on,
Which
the book deal.
Was it?
Yeah.
What?
So they're all on Kindle Unlimited, so it doesn't matter.
Oh. And I was like shocked. I was like, oh my God, a rugby romance set in Australia. Was this the one that you found?
I don't think it was Australia. I think it was the UK.
Yeah, I was like, this is neat because like I feel like
I think that
in North America, all we get pushed is like NFL, hockey. There's
baseball.
occasionally a basketball, but it's usually baseball.
Yeah, there's
hockey.
a really good basketball series.
It seems to be like a contact sport thing.
They like contact sports.
Like if they can hit each other, we should put that.
Westerners love a good bunch of men beating the shit out of each other.
Apparently.
I mean, rugby kind of does that. But
but they like.
Well, actually,
you can't fight in rugby.
Fun fact: if you go through Mariana Zapata's catalog, like you were planning,
Is there a
to,
rugby one in there?
Yeah. The best thing, the guy is a professional rugby player.
Oh, I haven't read that one yet. Okay, good to know. Anyway, we digress.
So this is
Grinder.
the first book in the Seattle Shark series.
Yeah, it's a dual POV.
Dual POV. I think it's like, how many pages?
And it's first person. I've been reading a lot of third person, which shocked me.
It's really weird. I think like the newer stuff is like that you find a lot of first person, but like a lot of the books,
newer books are coming out in third. So they're still dual POV, but they're third person.
I don't know how I feel about, because I understand. So I used to be like fully first person POV. I'm like, I hate third person.
But now
that I've read so much more third person, I'm like, I kind of prefer the third person.
Yeah, I agree.
Because
I wonder if that's like a trend in like also writing. Like there was a mention in this book where he was like, I put on Eminem and I went to go like sweat it out, and I was like, how old is this book? Like he put on Eminem. I was like, this has got to be older than I think it is. It's 2016, but I was like, what?
I'm trying to find how many freaking pages this is. It was not that long. Big.
It's like 200.
It does not. 208 pages.
Yeah, it's
not
a lot.
Quick and easy.
It's not a long book. So sports romance. Tropes are friends to lovers.
Nanny and single dad.
That definitely is a trope now that I think about it.
It's a trope.
Childhood friends. And workplace romance, which I guess is like a nanny.
Also, rich. I wouldn't call him a billionaire or a millionaire, but or maybe he's a millionaire. Hockey players get to pay a lot of money, especially if you're like the captain.
It would
and all
be.
that. So
is he the captain?
I think he's the captain.
No, I don't think he is.
I think he's the captain.
I don't think he is. It's never mentioned.
We literally just read this book.
I just read this book. No, I read this book.
I think he's the captain,
and he's for sure not.
I think he's the captain.
No, he's for sure not.
Well, I think later in the series he becomes captain. There's 9 books in the series.
I can see that, but he's not in this book for sure.
Was there
a grinder is like an enforcer. Like you're basically just a person who's like physical. They usually don't put like as someone who works in sports, like your grinder is not your fucking captain.
Here's the thing. I think a lot of authors that write sports romance
have no idea
also, sports romance.
Side note, as like my nitpicky things about this book. So he gets injured and he wears his own jersey to the game. And I was like, come on. And did anyone else notice this?
I mean, I didn't notice, but I
wear
think
a suit.
I think the biggest
like,
for me, the biggest like
he didn't. I was just like
the biggest red flag for like people like obviously these authors don't, or like it just like feeds into it because they kind of like mesh sports romance and like millionaire famous people romance, But the thing is, it's like all these paparazzi that follow them. Like,
It's super unrealistic. That's not true. That's not
like
how that happens.
only if you were literally like
Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah, and like really big players.
And also, or like someone like Steve Nash, who's like created a brand.
I don't even think paparazzi followed Steve Nash around.
No, this is not like a thing.
If you're like Cristiano Ronaldo,
unless you're
Messi, remember
unless
when
you're like beating your
Rooney-
wife in an elevator and dragging her out of it, like that NFL player, you ain't in the news. Sorry.
Unless you're like, unless
really
you're
weird.
basically somehow
Getting
infiltrated the Hollywood scene. So basketball players, this happens to a lot because basketball in Hollywood.
Aaron Rodgers
was
dating
hand in
Shailene
hand.
Woodley. And,
Aaron Rodgers had been in Hollywood before.
Olivia Munn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if you're like Tom Brady. But you have to.
Isn't one of them married? Who's married to Sierra?
Russell Wilson.
There you go. Okay, see, yeah.
But
So
you
like,
have to infiltrate the Hollywood scene.
But
basketball players are more likely to
they're
do
better
this
at that.
because like,
courtside seats.
Courtside seats.
Yeah.
It's like the top. It's like the
It's a
in
thing.
thing to do. But like hockey, not so much. Like you see famous
it's
people
not
at
as much. Also, hockey
games
makes
but like
less money
yeah,
than NFL
because
and
NHL
NBA.
has like the lowest salary cap, right?
Yeah, and it's because it's bigger in Canada than it is in the United States. And the United States,
Why do they have more teams then?
because they have a larger place than we are. Like, they've got more states, and they've got more
Sure.
money to put into it. Anyway, back to what we were talking
Back
about.
to
So, this book,
Lots of thoughts on sports romance.
yeah, trigger warning, there isn't any.
There isn't any.
No, there's no trigger
Maybe
warning.
just like a shitty parent.
Like,
like,
I don't know. That's not really a trigger, but like, yeah.
All right, read the back
Um,
of the book. You gonna read the back
No,
of
we
the
did
book?
Goodreads rating first. So Goodreads rating
It's
was
4.07.
yeah, 4.07.
I just had it open. I
And
rated this a 5, so like
it has 7,000 ratings, just over 7,000.
it's not bad.
So I it's not, but I thought that was high. But then I realized that it only has 7,000 ratings, and I was like, okay, that makes sense. I would say this is a good book, but I don't know if I'd give it like a.
I gave it a 5
Well,
simply
I guess
because
I gave it a 4 on Goodreads.
I
don't
come
know.
back. I really enjoy Samantha Whiskey. I've read majority of her books that she's released.
I've only read this one.
She's like, though she like sticks to a formula, they're quite enjoyable, fun, like just like easy reads. Like if you just need
Yeah.
something like a palate cleanser, or you're just in the mood for sports romance. I've also read her vampire series, which I really enjoyed.
Oh, interesting. I haven't heard about those, but because I gave this book a 4 on Goodreads, but if I could, I would have given this a 3.75 because it's not quite a 3, so I wouldn't give it a 3 on Goodreads, but it's also like not really as high as a 4. So if I could, I'd give it a 3.7, but I gave it a 4 on Goodreads because you can. Grinder. Until he shattered his shoulder last season.
Jeez,
I know.
do you know how to read?
As a tongue twister.
My name is Jared, and I never learned how to read.
Time heals all wounds, but the heartbroken single that
my
good one. Okay,
God.
we're gonna start this again. Take it from the top. All right, let me try this again. Gage McPherson was the Seattle Sharks' best grinder until he shattered his shoulder last season. Time heals all wounds, but the heartbroken single dad has more than his share of trust issues. The playboy only lets one girl close to his iced-over heart, his pint-sized daughter, who's the center of his world. She's the only thing more important to him than hockey, and he trusts no one with her except me. We've been friends since we were kids, and I love his daughter like she's my own. So what's the easiest solution to help Gage out? Move in and be his live-in nanny for the season. As far as she goes, the arrangement is perfect, but her drop-dead sexy father, frustration on every possible level. There's a thick professional line drawn between us by his own hand, and despite understanding the terms, my body is practically begging him to cross it. Our chemistry is off the charts, but one misstep and we could hurt the one person we love most. This game is an all or nothing. Can I risk my heart on a guy who is known for the shutout on and off the ice?
That was long.
That was very long, actually. So, first of all, shutout, he's not a goalie. That makes no sense. but that's just nitpicky. I think this is accurate.
Yeah.
I would say this is
I
accurate.
can see the gist. I think they could have shortened it by
I
a
agree.
paragraph.
But yeah, what like they could have stopped. Yeah, this could have been shorter, but I do think it was accurate for sure. So yeah, back of the book, accurate for what the book's about.
All right. Shall we get into it?
Yeah, sorry, we were distracted by my dog. Stop. So let me just pull up my notes. So
we start with
okay, the one thing that I reread this book for this podcast. So I'd read it and reread it again to record this, and I was so confused the first time I read this. I started the book and I was like, did I miss something?
No,
What
you start
happened?
with like this is like literally right after she moves in. So
You
she's
literally-
been his nanny for like a couple
3
months.
Yeah, like I think like a month or two or something.
But like she was living obviously somewhere else in the city, and then the season was about to start, so he was like,
so she moves in.
so she just moves in for like, God, your dog is just so needy right now.
Just ignore him. So she like moves in, and I just remember being like, I am so confused. And I remember like reading the first chapter again and being like, did I miss something? And then I remember looking at her catalog
I kind
and being like, did I miss a prequel? Like, was there a prequel
I
that I missed?
didn't mind it because you kind of like you already start halfway through the story anyway because they're like friends.
I guess so. I guess so my issue is that like where an author starts a book off is so important. And I just felt like this was a really weird place to start the book. So I don't know. I mean, like, it was obviously like once you get into it, like by chapter like 4, you kind of know what's happening. But the first chapter or two, you're like, wait, what? Where is she? They what? And you're kind of lost because it starts basically like it feels like it started in the middle of the story.
I mean, I think I find that a lot happens with friends to lovers. It starts in the middle of a story.
I haven't read that many, so maybe that's why I feel like that is the case.
Unless they're also giving you flashbacks to like when they're kids.
Yeah, okay.
I think
yeah.
most friends to lovers kind of read as you starting in the middle of the story.
I guess that's true. I just felt like I was like, wait, what? And because it's such a short book, like maybe that's why, because it's like 200 pages. Like this book is super short, so like maybe that's why I also felt like it jumped in, and I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
So short book, basically it jumps in. She's living in his house. She just moved in, like the 2 weeks before or something, and they're like kind of getting into the swing of things.
Yeah. So it's like the beginning of this hockey season. Like it's about to start.
Like I
think it's like September at this point because that's when the hockey season usually starts.
Yeah. No, it would be August, I think, because they had a preseason, which makes sense for the preseason. And like within like the first like 4 chapters, he has like a one night stand with some like puck bunny. And like there's that awkward,
and he
like
has this like rule because like
Also-
he doesn't want to accidentally say her name, so he goes for blondes. Because Bailey, if you didn't
is
know,
a brunette.
her name is Bailey because we didn't go over names.
Yeah, it's Bailey. Yeah, Bailey and Gage. Because
Bailey, Gage,
back
and
of the book
Letty
did.
is the kid, but he doesn't go for brunettes. He doesn't go for brunettes because he doesn't want to accidentally say her name.
I thought that was a really odd thing.
That was really odd
because
because
it's
they're
like-
like both lusting after each other. Like
I
right
know.
from the get go,
Yeah,
they're
right from the
both
get-go.
like
they're like pretty. It's like pretty intense.
it's pretty
lusting, too.
intense that they're both like really hot for each other.
Like at one
But-
point, he's like on the ice in a preseason game, and she's like, "Man," he like slams her onto the boards, and she's like, "Oh, I just want to hit that," and you're like, "Whoa!"
And his kid's
like sitting on her lap, and it's so. It was like I was like, "This is a lot."
Okay, one thing I will say, this is a side note. His kid's 3, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I've like obviously I don't have that much experience with 3-year-olds, but I feel like her vocabulary is like really large for a 3-year-old.
I mean, maybe a little bit. But like,
because like at some
not where
point
I got
they were
stuck
like
that out.
like yeah, obviously some points when she's like when he, like obviously we're like getting ahead of ourselves, but when they're like building the like
The
place
treehouse thing,
the
or
treehouse,
the fortress.
yeah, and she's like, my daddy's building me a fortress and Bailey's giving me a dragon. But then there's some points she just says something and I was like, can 3-year-olds form that many words together?
Well, she turned 4 though. Like that
I
was
think
the
this
birthday
is like
party.
the problem with like kids
But
in
that makes-
books in general. I think they
I
just like their
guess
vocabulary.
They're really hard to write.
Yeah, I guess kids are really hard
Because,
to write, but
Like she turned 4 in the book, and when you think of that, like she's going to preschool. Like she'd be preschool age, so this makes sense.
I guess I don't know. Obviously, I
Anyway,
need more experience with
So
3-year-olds.
basically, book starts. They're living together. He has a one night stand. She's kind of like, I wish that was me. And he's like, I can't.
He's like,
oh my God, trying not
she's
to cross the
walking-
line.
She's walking around in these short PJs
Yeah,
and like
he's like
yoga
trying not
pants.
to like sex her up.
Because he's like, she doesn't want to ruin their friendship, and also the fact that he's her boss now, and he is like, is it taking advantage of her
If I have sex with her,
if I have sex with her because she's my nanny and I don't want to fuck that up because his kid is super attached to her.
Yeah.
So he's like, if we have sex and then it goes wrong, my kid lost another person in their life.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna do that.
So basically, like, and so the book, like, it actually goes really fast. Where like basically they dance on each other. There's like a bit of a like, she's like, they kiss, like have a one really hot kiss, again interrupted by the daughter, and then she basically confronts him like shortly after that and is like, we should do this. Like, I'm just gonna fucking do it because her friends were like, do it, and she's like, well, and
her
she's
friends
like, do
are
it.
like super enablers.
They're like, you should.
One of
sex
them
him
is
up.
definitely like, yeah, you should just fuck him. He's hot as shit.
Yeah.
And like,
The other one's a little more of a like, well, I mean, I
well,
understand.
you don't
want
want to like, he's your employer now. But I remember obviously I read this. I've read this so many times that I felt like I didn't need to reread it. But
okay. I didn't feel that way.
I remember they shared they kissed.
Yeah, in like
And
the
then
laundry room.
They were like, this is like right before Halloween, because I remember they didn't have that like conversation like before Halloween, and then she gets into the maid outfit and he's like,
No, she goes to the club before that because she confronts him and is like, we should do this.
oh yeah,
and he's like,
club.
and he's like, no, we can't.
And then he gets all territorial at the club.
And then she's like, well, fuck you. Then I'm gonna apply to all these art internships to be like an art gallery. I don't know what they're called, manager, director,
Curator.
I don't know. Maybe curator makes sense. And so she applies all these internships like all over the world because she's like, fuck you, if I'm gonna do my own thing then. So she applies all these internships and then just like goes out with her friends to this club, and he also happens to have gone out and just like gets all like alpha possessive and is like, no one can touch you.
Oh,
and she's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
and she's like,
and then they go home because they're gonna
have sex.
sex it up,
And then the daughter comes home sick.
Yeah, the kid's homesick
From grandma.
they
from
go
his
like
mom.
instantly into like
Parent mode.
Yeah.
And
then
then
after that, they don't have a conversation
about it.
and then Halloween happens,
And then they finally have sex.
yeah,
Because she ends up in a maid costume, which is
maid
funny
costume,
because the Puck Bunny's one night stands that he was having always called her his maid.
yeah.
So like, yeah, they have like sex really fast.
I also want to
but
know,
like, I think that's really, there's only 2 true sex scenes in this. I think it's that and then
the
ending
Disney,
one.
the Anaheim one.
yeah. No,
No,
okay,
there's 3
3.
then.
Then it's 3 then. Yeah, that's
Because
right.
she gets pregnant at some point.
Yeah, that's
Spoiler
right.
alert.
So basically, okay, so they start to like get into a groove of like being together, having sex, taking care of the kid, and his ex-girlfriend shows up, his baby mama,
Yeah.
who's an ex-girlfriend who got pregnant by accident, had the kid.
They were going to get married.
They were going to get married, and then but by like default of like having a kid, like they weren't actually really
Yeah.
that in love. And then
I think he was totally like in it. He was.
I just don't think he was
100%
like
in.
in love.
I don't think he
though.
was in love, but I think he was like he thought he was in love.
Yeah, because then he ends up getting injured when his kid's 2, and then his baby mama is like, well, you're injured, so you may not make money anymore.
Yeah.
And then she also doesn't really want to be a parent, so she just like leaves him for one of his teammates who then gets traded.
No. He wasn't a teammate.
Yeah, he was, because he hit him on his own team. That's why it was like sus.
I don't remember him.
Because then he got traded to Ontario.
I thought he was like part of Ontario.
No, he got traded, so they were on the same team, and that's why it was so fucking awkward.
Okay.
Because it was an accident, and he like ends up like they shatter his soul, but he didn't shatter it. Like he tore his rotator cuff and broke his collarbone, which is like not that like anyway.
We're never doing another hockey romance or sports romance ever again.
This is like where I work anyway. So nitpicky, but and then so she like leaves and just like leaves the kid. So he's like got one arm, like one
He's
usable
literally
arm.
just got out of major surgery.
Yeah, he had one because they reattached his rotator cuff. So he has one arm and a 2-year-old. And nobody else.
And nobody else.
So his mom ends up like taking care of them, and then Bailey graduates from her master's program and comes back.
Yeah.
And helps him out. So like he is always on the defense and is like very
like he always expects people are just gonna leave.
To just like
so that's why
fuck
he
it
was
up.
like, I don't want to get close to Bailey like this because she's just gonna leave.
Yes.
And then my kid's gonna be devastated.
Yes, because his kid loves Bailey more than
and like
the baby mama.
Basically, this baby mama like
shows up at her birthday party.
Yeah, so she's Letty's birthday party, her 4th birthday, and they're having this like house party.
Yeah,
and
like a kid's birthday party, basically.
Kid's birthday party, and she
like this confrontation.
Yeah, because he's trying to get her to sign all
custody
custody
rights over. Yeah,
and so, but she like I don't know why she decides to do this because she wants literally nothing to do with the kid.
Yeah, it's
but
weird.
like I think she sees Bailey and Gage's interaction.
She sees how like in love they are, and she's jealous.
And she's like, "That's not happening. I'm gonna like I'm basically
gonna
gonna like
up.
emotionally blackmail
both
Gage.
Yeah,
into being like literally tied to me." For like the rest of Letty's life, basically.
So she like doesn't want to sign the papers, and she like basically makes this huge scene at the party.
Like, you're not going anywhere near this kid until you sign the papers, or you're not coming to this party, or you're not. You're basically not.
So she fakes signing the papers. She fakes the party,
and then she like
brings the cat thing was weird.
She brings like a cat, like a kitten. for Letty,
birthday.
But Letty is deathly allergic to cats,
which is weird. Is that a thing? Are people actually deathly allergic to cats? Or like
I've never seen.
I've never heard of that.
I've never
like deathly. Like
I mean,
EpiPen?
it could happen. It could happen.
I mean, yeah, I guess
like,
that's true. Like I'm not ruling that out. It just seemed very weird.
That like I've never interacted with because it's like it's kind of like pollen. It's like pet dandruff.
That's what I thought. I thought it was a very interesting because I was like, wait, what? It was a weird fact. I mean, like, I get it, but it was a weird fact.
Yeah, but like basically it was kind of just like a tool to be like, this woman knows absolutely nothing about her kids.
Yeah.
Because she would know what her kid's allergic
to if she was in her life.
Yeah. So like that I wouldn't say that was a conflict for like the entire
Not
book.
for the relationship though.
It was
like that wasn't the conflict for the relationship.
It was basically like a Gage. It was like kind of like reaffirming to Gage or reminding Gage, this is what happens when you trust people.
Yes, I agree. So like it wasn't a true like conflict.
It didn't like cause a fight or anything. It just like it kind of just like fed into Gage's
and so he like doubles down to like, I can't do this again. So they end up after that they play a game against his baby mama's husband.
Yeah, because they got like hitched real quick.
Yeah, I thought that was very strange. And he gets injured.
He gets
from a
injured.
hit again from this guy.
Same guy.
Not serious, but like he's out for a week.
But like obviously, if you get hit with a shoulder you just had major surgery on, you're gonna be like
a little more cautious.
And so like they like bench him basically for
they like
a couple
rest
games
him for a
because
week.
they don't want it to re-tear
Which
or
is
something.
like also not realistic, but that's just like a because I know it's not realistic. But
Okay,
like most people
whatever.
wouldn't.
It makes
Anyway,
sense.
so he's benched for a week, and then he ends up still. Also, he wouldn't go with the team to an away game if he was injured. That's like so.
Maybe who's the captain? I think he's the captain.
No, not even if you're a captain.
But anyway,
because it's costing them
I
money.
think the most unrealistic thing was they went to Disneyland and then expected to go to a game after. I would have been like, I'm beat. I'm done.
Yeah, that's true. Although, Bailey and Letty stayed.
Yeah,
in
but
and gave
him.
to
I mean,
that
him
was the
not
part where he
playing-
wore his jersey, and I was like, wait, what? He wouldn't wear his jersey. He'd be wearing a suit if he went,
Okay,
and he
stop
wouldn't have
stop
gone to an away
nitpicking,
game.
Ayesha. Let me enjoy my fucking
Oh,
sports
God.
romance. I'm never talking about a sports romance with you ever
I
again.
just,
But
they're hard to read now that I work in sports.
we're
but-
like bypassing everything in this book.
okay, I did like this book, but I
So
nitpicky.
basically, the sex scenes happen at the first one happens at Halloween,
yeah,
and I just want to know, Letty is like obsessed with the sound of music, and it's all full circle moment at the end.
I thought that was actually I didn't even
I-
include that until it until the
I
end.
know,
and I was
until
like,
they like
whoa,
mentioned
that
it,
was actually
but like
good.
I love the fact that
That was
I
cute.
actually quite enjoyed how much personality they gave this kid, because you know
Yes.
some books you read and the kid's just there.
Also, for such a short book,
They really
she
gave
does a
this-
really good job making all the characters be very distinct,
yeah.
except his friends. I still don't know which one's
His
which.
friends are the next two books, and then her friends are the next two books. They
So
all get together. They're like a trio.
interesting. So they go to Anaheim. They distinctly use a condom every time, which I did like. I'm a big condom watch person because I find it super unrealistic when they never talk about it. And he's
And-
like, "Oh, I forgot one," and she's like, "It's fine." And I was like,
she's like, she basically is like, I'll
"Impregnate me."
yeah, she's like, I'll be happy with whatever outcome. So like, she gets pregnant and she'll be happy, because one thing that she really
Is
wants
always
is
be a
she's
mom.
always wanted to be a mom, and
Little do we know
Little-
that Gage is actually
during his shoulder surgery,
he got a vasectomy
yeah,
at the same time because he
and
was
she-
so hurt by like having a kid and then having the baby mama leave that he's like, I don't want another kid to grow up in a broken family.
I mean, it makes sense, but
It
it also
does.
like
It's
I
very
feel like
dramatic.
I feel like his doctor would have been like, dude, you're like 28.
Yeah.
Let's not do that.
Yeah, because he's 28 and she's 26.
They're like, I feel like a doctor, in particular a male doctor, and he's like really professional sports dude. They'd probably be
okay,
like,
but I don't think it was a sports
no,
doc.
no. You know what I mean? Because you know what I mean? Because he's like a very like strong, athletic dude. They might be like,
Do you want to think about it? Although vasectomies
want-
are generally reversible, so
They are. You find out in this book,
so
it does it on its
it's a
own.
little different.
But like,
so he hasn't told Bailey this, and he
Yeah.
knows that she
he knows
wants
it's like
kids
a deal breaker.
because they've known each other since they were kids.
So he's like just wasn't gonna bring it up with her or something like that.
and then
And then
basically she like says how she wants kids with him eventually, and he's like, yeah, that's
So
not gonna
hate to break it.
happen.
And then she brings up, because it was kind of like a false thing. So like she starts bringing up kids and like a little one, like, because she's like thinking of the future. She's like, we're gonna have kids one day, and
He's like, yeah, we're not
then
having
she
kids.
brings up that because she was like cleaning out his bathroom or something.
yeah, Letty's. Oh yeah, the meds.
the meds. So she finds pain meds.
The
He must have not gotten the surgery at the same time, because he had two separate pain meds for.
yes, it would have been
So-
shortly after the shoulder.
So
surgery.
like he had different pain meds and she found them and she
She's
was
like,
like,
"What are these
why? Yeah,
for?"
she literally thought he was like addicted to them or
which
something.
I thought was a really strange like first thought to be like,
you know what though?
What?
I understand her jump to be like, why is there pain meds from a very like that are very different from what he
got from
the surgery. So,
yeah,
like,
from the shoulder.
obviously you'd be like very concerned with like
Where did he
really
get
strong
these?
opioids being
I
in
guess
his.
so.
But
I thought it
like,
was weird that she was like their childhood
It's-
friends, and she was like, he must be abusing.
He must be abusing drugs.
Yeah.
But like this like all happens all at once. This happens like a dinner. It's like a date night. The kids in bed or at grandma's, and she brings up kids, and he starts getting really uncomfortable, and he's like,
And then she's like, "Oh yeah, I found these drugs," and he's like, "I had a vasectomy."
yeah, and she's like, deal breaker, I'm done.
Well, because the deal breaker for her wasn't not having kids; it was the fact that he didn't want to entertain the idea at all in a couple years. Like he wasn't like, "Hey, this is how I feel now, but let's revisit this."
Yeah, he's like,
I'm never gonna have kids. I'm not gonna feel different.
And then
that
also
was the
she
deal
was like,
breaker
you
for
made
her.
a really big decision over one
Person.
idiot woman.
Yeah, which is true.
Which is true. This is why I'm like, some doctor would have been like, are you sure, buddy? Like,
I mean, but then again,
think
like
about it.
in the U.S., they make money off this stuff.
I
so
mean,
maybe
they make money off of it, but like,
because it would be an elective surgery. Anyway, so they have like a big fight, and she's basically like,
she's like, I'm out.
I
will
like,
be
if
the
he
nanny.
if he can't even like entertain the idea of eventually us having kids, then like this is not
this is not going anywhere because she really wanted to be a mom, and like that was the
even
one.
if he was like, okay, we can adopt.
Yeah, he's
Like,
just
it
like, I
wasn't-
don't want any more
I
kids.
just don't
He's
want
like,
any more kids.
one kid, one and done.
Yeah. So she's like upset because what was it that they said that was like she was giving up her dream.
Yeah,
And he was
like she has to give up all her dreams for him, and he doesn't have to give up anything. And then he was like, oh, I'll quit hockey. And she's like, that's not the point. I didn't want you to give up your dreams for me. I want us to be able to fulfill our dreams together.
And okay, it was like his mom said this to him. She was like, you're asking Bailey to give up her dreams, and she's asking you to compromise.
Yeah,
because
it's not
you have your dream.
It's not like he doesn't like kids. He just doesn't want any more kids.
Because he doesn't want more kids, because he doesn't want to have the kid grow up in a broken home because his parents got divorced. But like basically she leaves. She goes to they have like breakup sex, but he doesn't know it's breakup sex.
No. Okay. Well, we're skipping ahead. So she basically moves out. She's like, I can't be your live-in nanny. I'm gonna be your nanny. I'm gonna show up from like 8 to 7, and I'm out for the day. So she's like living with her mom or something, or
I
her
don't
friend.
think so.
Yeah. She moves
She
out.
does stay with her friend though.
And then, like, they're supposed to have this like really awkward Thanksgiving.
They did have an awkward Thanksgiving.
And then, because she got the job,
it comes out that she got the internship.
And her mom
in Paris.
was like, her mom just like did not read the room.
No,
because
it was like awkward.
they were giving their thanks for like things they're thankful for, obviously.
And her mom's like,
I'm so thankful I'm going to be able to visit my daughter in one of the most beautiful cities in the world because my daughter just got a job in Paris. And Gage is like, what the fuck?
And
you got a job
awkward.
in Paris? And she's like, yeah, I leave like next week.
Yeah. So basically she preps to leave, and then they have sex like the day before she's leaving.
I don't know why he didn't read that as like
also
like
she's just like
they
they have sex without a condom again
because she thinks he's had a vasectomy, right?
I guess
so
that's
she's like
true. I guess so. Although like obviously we know now, but like so okay, so they have sex, and then she just like wakes up.
When do you think she got pregos? The last time or the time in Anaheim?
I think
because it's like two
I think
weeks.
the last time, because that wouldn't make sense, because that would have been too far for her to have missed her period.
Yeah, but she was
in Paris for 3 weeks when he shows up, so she would have then, that makes more sense.
Okay,
so she leaves Paris, and she like wakes up, makes the daughter breakfast,
doesn't wake him,
and just leaves and gets
he must sleep like the fucking dead. Because I don't
so.
know how you can like not only notice someone getting out of the bed, but also not notice them like clanking around the
in your
kitchen.
your daughter up. So she
and
just,
the daughter's
leaves.
like not like they mentioned their daughter's like not quiet whatsoever. She is like loud as shit.
So like, which is because she's 3, so it makes sense. So she leaves. She's gone for like 3 weeks, and you basically in that 3-week period, you're more with Gage than you are with her.
Yeah.
And Gage is basically like,
he's like miserable.
First, he's like pissed, just like pissed because he's like, I was right. She left. And then eventually comes to his senses and is like, what the fuck did I just do? Because.
Yeah. And also, their moms had bets on them getting together.
Yeah. Which is funny.
I thought that was really funny.
What I liked was that when he like, so the baby mama Helen ends up signing the papers to get full custody to Gage, and he was like, do you think she's like, he's like, do you think if I came after you, you would have stayed?
And she said no.
And she said, I don't think I would have. And she's like, but you didn't come after me, so like I can't say for sure. And he was like, he had this like epiphany where he was like, I didn't even fight for her because I didn't really want it. He's like, what am I doing? Like, why am I not fighting for what I actually want? So he like just up and goes to Paris.
Like he basically buys it. So he's in Ontario. Yeah. This happens in Ontario.
He plays the game that night.
He plays in Ottawa. And then he's like, hey, Mom, can you take my kid back home?
I'm going to Paris
and then
from
he
here.
buys a ticket from there. And before he gets on the plane, he gets a suspicious call from his doctor.
Yeah.
And you think this call is something to do with his shoulder?
I thought
obviously
so too.
they had to do tests
really,
when he got hit.
His vasectomy
really,
reversed.
It was about, his vasectomy healed himself because he's a grade A athlete that has a great
I thought that was really weird
athlete body that healed extra well.
I did think that was like, and I realized that it was like Bailey being like, because when he eventually tells her, she's like, I guess that makes sense because like he like willed himself healed with his shoulder, so like his body's just like extra like, I don't know, like good at healing. And I was like, this. I did think that was very like odd, but yeah,
like that part when like basically you learn he's buying a ticket. And he's like, I'm gonna go get
at
my
the
girl
same
back.
time Bailey finds out she's pregnant.
Bailey, and she's like,
I'm pregnant.
She comes to the realization she didn't have her period. She's probably pregnant.
Yeah.
And then I felt like so bad for Bailey because like she's like sitting in this like it's like less than a studio apartment,
like a loft.
It is like literally like size of a 1-bedroom. Well, this is like Paris, so obviously
it's
like apartments are really small. But like she's sitting on this dingy bathroom and she's like crying because she's like, I'm pregnant.
And
this guy doesn't want kids. And she's talking to her like belly, like, we're gonna get through this. Like, just me and you, kid, man. We don't fucking need him.
He shows up and they make up, and she's like, oh fuck, I still have to tell him.
BT dubs.
And then he's just like, yay.
Yeah, he's like, he doesn't like be like, oh,
Not
this is what the doctor told me. Like, she was like, by the way, I didn't cheat, but you have some swimmers left because I'm pregnant. And he's like, wow, this is so exciting. And she's like, I don't even understand how this could happen. And he's like, oh, it just healed itself. And she's sitting there like, what do you mean it just healed itself? And he's like, oh my God, this is great news. This is amazing.
And then she's like, excited. You know what? You're right. It does make sense. That would happen to him. It's a really weird
And this
scene.
is like, so it's like, I think it's like right before a season break because he can spend.
It's right before Christmas.
Because he can spend he
spends 3 days there.
Yeah.
But that makes sense though, because they do get a break for Christmas. And because we knew that Thanksgiving already happened. So if it's 3 weeks from Thanksgiving,
it
would
probably,
literally
it's
be right
around Christmas time.
So he goes to bring her home for Christmas, proposes on Christmas. And the book basically ends with them being like in Paris, being like, we're having a baby. And that's it.
And then the epilogue is a year later?
2 years, because Letty's 5.
And they obviously have their son. But their son is, I mean, I don't understand babies all. The son seemed like very newborn.
Yeah, it does seem. Maybe it is less than that.
I think it's less. I think it's like a year.
I don't have my.
Because she's like, yeah, I think it's less than a year.
It must be because that doesn't make
if
sense.
they have,
but they got so they mentioned that he proposed on Christmas, so like basically as soon as I got back from Paris.
yeah,
But then they're married at that point because he says my wife.
yeah, I think it's less. I think it's like a year.
Maybe it is a year. So basically, like she's opened up a gallery.
No, she's because the reason. So right before she learned she was pregnant, she got an email from a gallery in Seattle
to intern,
and she was like, and she really just like didn't like being in Paris,
so she was gonna take it.
So
anyway.
she was gonna take it, and then she was just gonna like come home to her, like basically where her mom is, because like if she's gonna have this kid and the guy doesn't want the kid, then she's gonna need her mom. And she just didn't like the job. She just didn't like. She was like homesick. And so she's like opened a like exhibit at the gallery that she interned, and she got like a full position.
Okay. Because, so you jump to her basically working. She's had the kid.
Which is like...
He's like carrying this kid around.
What person? Like, not person.
She would have had to take a mat leave?
Yeah.
No.
What job?
Maybe it's longer than...
What job would let her, like, intern come on and then be like, BT dubs, I need mat leave in 9 months? They'd probably be like, ooh, your probation's done. So, like, maybe you should move on and do something else. Like, I think most jobs wouldn't agree to like fully giving. I mean, she doesn't need mat leave, or like paid mat leave because he's fucking rich.
Yeah, because he makes.
But like, I don't know what job would really like sign on to be like, oh, you need to leave in 9 months for like at least 3 months.
Yeah, that was a weird. Maybe it is 2 years.
Maybe
that would make more sense though, for her to have then had the kid and then actually be working again.
I guess I
don't know. I would have to look it up. But that's how the book ends.
She adopts Letty at the end.
Yes, which does make sense
because Letty is like because they keep referring to, I guess, themselves as like mom and dad to, I forgot what their name. Ethan. But like, and Letty's like, why can't I call you mom?
Yeah, she's cute. Okay, my favorite part of probably the whole book is is it his mom that's like, why do you think Letty loves the sound of music?
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know, because it's like catchy.
She's a fucking weird kid. I don't understand.
And she's like, no, because the dad falls in love with the nanny. And he's like, oh. And I was like, whoa, I did not see that coming. And I was like, that was a great little like plug-in that just like came across the whole the whole book that just like full circles the whole thing. I thought that was really cute. That was well done by the author. I also just
love that the little kid is obsessed with the sound of music.
It was something random
because everyone's like, why isn't she obsessed with Frozen? And they're like, we don't fucking know. She loves the sound of music.
But like, that's so cute for her to subconsciously be like, and kids are like that. They're just like so weird like that. I thought that was really well done by the author for sure, because I was like, this is actually so cute. I mean, overall, I like the book. It's really short.
It's like a 2-3 hour read.
Because the first time I read this, I was like, because it jumps right in. And I was like super confused at the beginning because I was like, what is happening? And then it was over and I was like, what just happened? It's over.
Yeah, she's really quick. That's why I said they're like good palate cleansers.
So for a book that's 200 pages, this is well done because you get a full story. While you're reading it, it doesn't feel like she skipped over anything. Mm-hmm. Time passes fast because it has to. Because this book happens in a span of like less
4
than
months.
Maybe 4 or 5 months, and it doesn't feel quick while you're reading it. Like it doesn't feel like she skipped details.
Like you can feel time pass in this book.
Yeah, like, but it doesn't feel fast. Like, it doesn't feel like the authors are rushing the book to get it out. So I would say this is, for a 200-page book, that this is really well done. Because I thought this was like a novella. Because it's so short, but it's not.
It's a full-length book. Would you like recommendations for the rest of the series?
Well, okay, let's finish this book first. So, rereadability.
I've reread it a lot, so yes.
How many is a lot? Like more than 5?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay, so I've read this twice. Would I reread this specific book? I don't know if I'd reread this one.
I think once you get further into the series, I prefer some of the later books better.
Yeah.
But I actually went back to this book quite often.
Okay. Because I don't know if I'd go back. Like, I don't know if the story
But
is
you
good
also
enough.
nitpick all the fucking hockey shit. So,
Yeah. I
obviously
can't read sport romances anymore. Now that I work in sports, I just they're ruined for me because I'm always that's not real. But I don't know if I'd go back to this specific book, but I would read the rest of her series. So rereadability, kind of, for me.
Yeah.
Okay, my rating, we already talked about this, was I would give this a 3.7 out of 5.
I gave this a 5.
Yeah, I'd give this a 3.75.
I gave it a 5. Yeah.
Because, yeah, the only reason I reread it was because of the podcast, because we picked this to do. But, yeah, it was good. Steaminess,
Like a 3.
yeah, I would say a 3
2.5,
I would say
nothing kinky, very vanilla. But there's
true.
quite,
But
for the amount of pages, you get a good amount of sex scenes.
Okay, yeah. I was going to say 3.5, but now that you're we're talking about it, I would go 3.
Yeah.
It's not super descriptive.
Yeah.
But
I think
it's
the
descriptive
first
enough.
scene is super descriptive.
The other
other
ones,
ones.
yeah.
Except for, so they have sex when she's in the bath, and it's like a bubble bath, and I'm
Yeah.
that seems like a yeast infection, fucking waiting to happen. That just doesn't seem.
I mean, I don't know
That
about
doesn't
that,
seem
but
kosher. That doesn't seem
that's not
sanitary.
kosher.
Maybe wash cooch a bit after that. Also, she's totally covered in soap, and he totally licks her while she's covered in soap.
I
And
mean,
I'm
okay, I feel
that just seems gross.
well, I don't think so, but I see where you're coming.
See where I'm coming from? I just think sex should just not be in the bathtub shower region. I just think
What is
it's
wrong with you.
I just think
It's
it's just
some of the
it's-
best
as
scenes
someone-
are in
as
the
someone
in-
who is a paranoid human being, you're going to fall. You're going
that
like-
can happen. Yes.
it's just the shower is dangerous itself. So low, you could fall, hit your head. No one would know.
Yeah, but the person who's with you.
I know, but then you could fall, and you're both incapacitated. And imagine calling someone to be like,
I mean,
"Yo, by the way, we were both super naked in the shower, and you need to come and help us because we both have fallen and we cannot get up."
I mean, yeah, I'm sure that happens more often than we
And just,
think it does.
Water everywhere. As someone who
water
just doesn't
everywhere
want to clean shit up, there's water over the tub. I know they're in a hotel room, but be considerate about your frigging housekeepers.
So you know what? We're gonna find a book that has a really good bathtub sex scene, and you're gonna regret saying this
Sure,
because
go right ahead. If you can find it.
Why can't you just suspend belief? Because this was a pretty good one.
Why can't you suspend belief when he injured his fucking shoulder?
I mean, but that's a little different.
No,
but-
it's not different.
Okay, would I recommend this? Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a quick read, so it's not. It took me maybe 2.5 hours, if that, depending on how fast of a reader you are. I would say yes, I'd recommend because it's quick. It's it's well written
Yeah.
and the characters are good. It's just enough.
I think you would have a
sex.
good time picking up any of her books, and most of her books are besides
Are they all short?
they're all short.
Oh, really?
Besides the vampire series, majority of them are very standalone. Sure, you're
Oh.
gonna obviously get characters that are mentioned in other books and stories.
Like this series, where
Yeah.
it's a series, but it
but
you can jump in at any
you
point.
can jump in at any point, and I think you'd still have a good time reading it.
Yeah. So wait, are her vampire series also short?
Yeah, they're most of her
Oh.
books are around the same size.
I never read books this short. That was really shocking to me that it was so short. I was like,
I
this
used
is
to read
super
books
short.
all the time, this.
Really?
size.
I don't.
I've
read
now only recently started reading really big juggernaut
I
books.
always read giant books. This felt so short. to
No,
me.
I really like a good book that I can sit on a Sunday afternoon,
and just read the whole thing.
and just before dinner I'm done.
Interesting.
I really love books like that.
Yeah, that's not. I
That's
don't
when I
read
get
books this
most of my
short that
reading on
often.
weekends.
Huh. Okay, so I mean, how many books are in this series?
So this one has 9, and then
oh my god, that's a lot.
The last book then jumps in and like splits off into the spin-off, and then she has the Carolina Reapers series, which is still ongoing. I think there's like 13 in that series.
Okay, doesn't it eventually all become the same?
I mean, all the characters do kind of blend into the same.
Because like they're all just hockey players, and like how many different stories could you possibly make? I mean, okay, that's a lie.
going.
I understand, but like,
But do you want recommendations of this season
okay,
or this series?
sure.
So the next 2 books are his 2 friends and then her 2 friends. They're not my favorite. I like Blocker, which is about the goalie. I don't know if I think you get mentioned of him in here because he's really young.
Which one?
Blocker, which is book number 5.
Oh, Blocker. I thought you said Walker. I was like, isn't that one of the friends' names?
Blocker, book number 5. He's the goalie. And then Skater, which is book number 6, and he is that Swedish.
Oh, okay, I've read.
No, wait, that's not Skater. It is Wheeler. That is his book.
I've read.
Wheeler is the Swedish guy you meet in this one who is like not great at English, but by the point his book comes, he's like
better at English.
He's like a middle, like obviously he's been there for years, so like he's like middle. I wouldn't say middle-aged hockey player. So like
30, early 30s.
Yeah, early 30s. Like he's in his like just breaching
like prime
to the point that his last contract is going to come up, and then his value is obviously going to decrease after that last contract.
I see. Okay,
but
well, maybe we'll give them a try. They're short.
Wheelers. Yeah, I like Wheeler, and then Defender. I really like.
So the last 3.
No, the last 2, and then book number 5, I really liked.
Interesting.
Because Defender is, I don't think you meet him in this book. You for sure meet him by, I think, the 4th book. And he's, I think he's just like not a center, but a winger or something like that. But yeah, and then this one also splits off into 2, I guess like 2 spinoffs, because they do the Carolina Reapers, which is the other hockey series, and then the main guy in Defenders, he has a twin brother, and he's a football, but he's like from the NFL, and she does like a trilogy for
football.
The football.
Huh. Okay. I mean, good to know. I don't know. So if you're a sport romance person, I guess, like, you want like a good sport romance that's like fairly quick, easy to read, Samantha Whiskey is apparently the person that you should be looking at.
Yeah, I really enjoy Samantha Whiskey's books.
Because
I
haven't read that many.
You want a vampire series, which is a good, like, quick read. I really enjoyed her vampire series.
All right, maybe I'll have to put one of those on the list.
The Ox Assassins, I think that's what it's called.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think it's Oxford Assassins. I think it's Ox Assassins.
Anyway, so tell us what you think. I mean, I'm pretty critical about sport romance books, unless you're from Luke Off with Love, which is like my fucking.
That's because
book.
you know absolutely nothing about figure skating. So
that's a lie. I know more than you think.
You know more than you think, but
I just love that book. But I'm curious to know if anyone else thought this book was really fucking short, because it was like shockingly short for me.
That's because you just. I don't know why.
Maybe I just read really long books, but so give it a read. If you've also read other ones from this series, tell us which ones you like, because I may continue reading this series, and I'm curious what you guys think. As per usual, download, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, so iTunes, Spotify, all of the above.
Rate and review us. I would love a 5-star review. Like, every review we get should be 5 stars.
I mean, be honest, but yeah, we would love 5-star reviews.
If you're not leaving a 5-star review, don't leave one at all.
Tell your friends. Talk about us. Follow us on Instagram. That's generally where you can find us. We're at Sisters Reading Romance Pod.
Or you can email us, which is at sistersreadingromancepodcast@gmail.com.
Send us reviews.
Don't
Recommendations. Mainly recommendations and opinions of the books we read. That's all for this week.
Bye.